Hey guys, this is a follow-up on what's going on with the website. Here's website's address. It is very important that you know how to use this website because it is our guide for this class, and it is linked up with the learning portal, and it is goes along again hand in hand with the learning portal. But before you go for science on there, you come to here. So one of the things that I want to talk about is that now that we're on to a new unit, we have a new button for each unit. So I kept last units here. For example, 7th grade goals for healthy from the inside out will take you to, in fact, their old goal page with their learning goals and working goals. You can use this to review anything that you wanted to, like if you want to review organizing organisms, you could go back to that video, excuse me, or cell structures, and hopefully you weren't going back there to make up work you owed me, but if you did, it would still be there. So, excuse me, lenses and light goals are found here. And the same goes for 8th grade goals. The old unit was defining your future, and the new one was breaking boundaries. If you're wondering how people know about the raffle, they are going to announcements and they are making sure they stay on task on their announcements, what's going on. They are also paying attention, all right, by using an RSS feed. All right, this is something that you can do to keep up, and it will tell you on your internet browser if there's a new post. And don't forget the Wonderwall. Here's questions that you might want to answer. Can also be found up here. Now, I want to talk about a new feature that's going to be happening in our class, especially with classes that are staying on task. And this is called student teachers. All right. So student teachers are people who have proven to me that they understand the task and the content inside the task. So once people start doing a task and I see proficiency and I see these people are very good at explaining what the purpose and the goals of the task were, they'll be put up as student teachers or STs. And these students are people that you can go to and ask for help. They will not tell you the answers, but they will break down whatever you need help with into small questions that you could answer and that will eventually lead up to understanding. All right, these people, these student teachers will help anyone who asks and is sincere. They will be following expectations. They will never think of you as being smart or dumb for not understanding something. And they will be constantly changing. You won't see the same people up there all the time. You will be able to see people change. So even though one task you might have no understanding of, but you might understand another task later on, you could be a student teacher one time but not another. Now, all right, so I think that explains student teachers. If you have questions about it, come ask me. Again, they're not people to give you the answers, but they are people who will help you when you are stuck or you don't know what to do. And please ask them before you ask me. So now let's talk about our new goal page. You're going to see that's going to be a little different. Not only is there a new picture, but it's going to have some different features. Excuse me, I'm trying to make it smaller. There we go. So the first thing I want to talk about is the learning goals, and now we have aims. All right, an aim is something you reach for. So I took this learning goal, which can be considered a pretty complicated goal, something that you might not understand what you're trying to do, right? You might not be able to know how you're supposed to explain how new traits are inherited. And a lot of them, the goals say explain. Well, an aim breaks down that topic. It breaks down how traits are inherited. If you can answer all these smaller questions individually and then put them together and show me how their answers are related, you have then just explained to me how traits are inherited. And these are definitely questions that you could answer. There's just a few of them. If you can answer these questions, then you'll be able to explain to me how traits are inherited. So these learning goals correspond with these working goals. So working goals, once again, must be in your log book, okay? I do not want to answer that question, when you ask me, what do I owe you? You need to be keeping track in your logbook and checking off when you complete something and writing down all of your goals so you know the answer to that question. It takes a lot of time for me to go back and then to email you with that question, all right? So you need to keep track. You are responsible for that. So just like you know how to put your learning goals in there, you need to put your working goals as well. So here's another thing that we need to discuss. We need to discuss how you take care and meet your deadlines. So this is something that has been an issue. So you should not wait for lab to get information. Lab is meant for expanding a topic, diving deep into it, and for me, doing experiments. I can't do experiments if you're not doing the background research before you come in. I have set up these working goals to answer these questions. Your aim, each working goal answers an aim. Some aims need 2 working goals or 2 tasks in order for them to be answered. But you must reach them by your deadline. And your deadlines are written here. So this one must be done before 6 p.m. Wednesday. That means that I need to be able to check that you've done it, and then by Thursday lab, if you see me on Thursdays, which 8th grade does, that you are ready for class. Because if you don't do this by Wednesday, you're not ready for my class. And if the majority of you haven't done it, then I cannot help you. We have to go back. We have to do whatever, we have to scrap whatever experiment we did, and we need to then go over the basics. And it would be a shame. So please make sure that you are keeping track of your deadlines. There's also a calendar outside the science room if you prefer that view, but you need to keep track of it. So, very, very important. And if you notice there's no student teachers here yet, once we get started up on our way and I see who has a good grasp of these questions and goals, then I can select some student teachers. So another feature I want to talk about right now is our, what I would call a online textbook. Oops, excuse me. So here is our online textbook. The title will always be the name of the working goal, the part that is highlighted and bolded. And it will tell you what questions it's going to answer, and it's going to even break down the question into smaller questions. So whenever you have a reading that's online, it will follow this structure. And you need to make sure as you're reading you can answer these questions. These questions that you see here, the learning questions, are also subtitles. Alright, and the reading underneath these subtitles will answer them. You'll also find keywords. These keywords will, again, be found inside of your reading, and they will be bolded. Then it will tell you also what your previous tasks were. So if you didn't do this previous task, you need to go back and work on that. Embedded tasks show you that this task is counted as 2. There's 2 embedded tasks that were on your working goal page. And then it also has, oops, sorry, I clicked on my previous task that I needed. And also it has a reading guide. So this reading guide right here tells you something very important. Remember that links that are in bold and underlined are required for you to click on. Others are optional. So let's talk about that for a second. So let's look at here. Here I have what are my genes. It tells me if I need to review, I could watch this video. And it's linked to one of the cell videos. It also then tells me, has something like the amoeba. Maybe I don't remember what amoeba is, but it's just a regular link. I could click on it and it would show me a picture of an amoeba. It might also have a definition of an amoeba. But this way, I can know what I am trying to read, and it'll help me use those words that I don't understand. Plain highlights are similar to being a footnote, just a regular highlight link. Now, things that are bold and underlined means that you have to click on them. For example, I would read all of this first, and then I'd get to here, and I would continue reading until I finish that sentence, and then I would click on it, and I would see, I would come to the task it asked me. This is awesome, let me tell you. Why? It is awesome because as you're reading, it gives you a chance to practice what was being discussed. Right? You'll find many different tasks this way. And this is actually one of my working goals. It's very similar. I can check and I can see if I understand something, and then I can move on after I completed it. You must click on the bold and underlined links. Now, as I continue down, I can see that I have checks for understanding, and it'll tell me where to answer my checks for understanding. Sometimes it'll be a survey, sometimes it'll be in your notebooks. And it would also answer the question, what do I do next? And this is my number 4 working goal. It also gives me my due date again. So no excuses. So I would check off what I've done in my logbook, and then maybe if I'm doing a day by day with the logbook, I'd write this in immediately after I'm finished. So that takes care of reading. Also, if you have a music that goes along with it, something that is additional, it will be up in the corner. A little fun way to introduce a reading will be there. Now, one other thing that we need to talk about, and that is our discussion boards. So now we have some discussion boards that we'll be working on, and they'll be included as a working goal. So here we have number 5, meaningfully participate in discussion, how are traits inherited? And this might actually be a continuous thing. It might not be something that you can do one time around. Maybe you contribute a question and an answer. So this one asks me to explain, is around the goal, you can explain how traits are inherited, and it's asked me, how are traits inherited? So all I have to do is double click, I'd write my name, and since I just started this goal, I might have more questions than I do answers. I could say, I am confused about what a trait is and how it relates to genes. Does anybody understand this question mark? And if I have misspelled a word, I would go make sure I correct it. All right, please make sure you do. I could also add a link here to a website that I found was helpful. Maybe I'm answering that question, and I'd add a link. I could upload a photo if that was helpful as well. So I can also move this wherever I want. So say it had to do with something around, let's say right here. Someone asked something else that had to do right here. I could drag it up so it could be around in that area. This wall, there's several of them throughout the unit. It's a place that you can ask questions and give answers. And anything on this board, how are traits inherited, anything on here is fair game for assessment. So when I want to evaluate how you're doing, not only will I read this board, but I can also go back and I can ask you in any type of assessment any of these discussion questions. Same thing goes for the aim. So I hope this is helpful. And parents, if you're watching, again, please keep track of the working goals and what they're doing. And you can also see that surveys are basically online worksheets, and they're helpful because I can't lose them, and a kid can't tell me they did it and that it doesn't show up. But also, for example, they are good ways to prepare for the exam, the science exam. They will be related to, a lot of them have state science exams within those questions. So feel free to email me if you have any questions. And I hope this helped you navigate the website a little easier. Thank you.